Hello, my name is Roseanne Stachowiak, and in case you're wondering why I look like a hippie version of Mother Nature with a Christmas crown, well, today I'm going to be reading to you chapter 11 of my book, Spirit of Winter. Spirit of Winter is about the story of Jack Frost and how he became so bitter. More to the point, it asks the question, what can the legendary figures of Santa Claus, Mrs. Claus, Father Time, Mother Nature, and the Sandman can do to help him remember the joy of the season? So without taking up any more of your time, I'm going to begin. Again, this is chapter 11 of Spirit of Winter. Horses? Jack exclaimed. Jack was staring at two beautiful Clydesdale horses attached to a red and green sleigh. The side of the sleigh was emblazoned with the words Donner's Horse and Reindeer Farm. The sleigh was sitting on golden skis. Not just any horses, Jack. These beautiful creatures are called Clydesdales. And Mr. Donner has agreed to take us around the valley today, Grandpa Frank informed. Really, Jack exclaimed once more. Truly, Jack. Now why don't we hop in the sleigh with Nicholas and Mr. Donner? Grandpa Frank insisted. A bright smile blossomed on Jack's youthful face. His blue eyes twinkled as he practically flew over the icy sidewalk. When he was steps away from the sleigh, Jack could see Nicholas's brown hair and cheery smile. Hi, Jack. Are you ready to see the valley? Nicholas asked excitedly. Jack looked around the sleigh with bright eyes as he asked, How do I get in? Allow me, young Jack Frost, said a polite man from the opposite side of the sleigh. He was tall and burly. His dark brown hair was close-cropped, and his dark eyes serious. My name is Donner, he introduced. With a sturdy stride, Donner rounded the sleigh and had a wooden stool in his hands. Donner set the stool in front of Jack. Grandpa Frank followed Jack into the sleigh. Thank you, Donner. Do you have anything special planned for this trip? Grandpa Frank asked. Donner shook his head as he replied. Outside of the village is a special pine forest. It almost seems to glow. There is also a holiday village that opened for the first time. It's right in the center of the pine forest. Both are something special to see this time of year. As a special treat for the young men, there's also a snow fort, Donner informed mischievously. Cool, the boys shouted in unison. Once everyone was seated and under heavy quilts in the sleigh, Donner took the reins and urged the horses forward. As the sleigh glided over the icy streets, Nicholas and Jack looked over the sides. Seeing the houses and passing cars was different in a sleigh with the wind in your face. It took next to no time for Donner to have the sleigh beyond the town's limits. Now the snow was flying up the sides of the sleigh, occasionally spraying the boys in the face. Grandpa Frank watched this with joyful abandon. It had been years since he had seen either of the boys with this carefree attitude, and it warmed his timeless heart. As the sleigh approached the pine forest, Nicholas looked at the trees. His chubby face was rosy from the wind, but the twinkle in his eye was full of excitement. Donner slowed the sleigh down as they got closer, allowing Nicholas to see the different trees. The shades of green alone were enough to leave Nicholas breathless. Everything from dark evergreen to frosted grass was apparent in color on the trees. Some of them had short needles, others long. Many trees were decorated. The decoration ranged from strands of colored beads to lengths of sparkly garland. Lights of every shape and size were lit. Round bulbs and miniature rocking horses hung from the tree branches. All of them had stars or angels as toppers. This dazzling sight was enough to leave Jack, Nicholas, and Grandpa Frank with breathless grins of wonder on their faces. With exquisite skill, Donner took the sleigh down narrow paths and tight turns, over cracked ice and under fallen logs. Low-hanging branches never touched the passengers. The falling snow created an illusion of magic on the scene. Donner expertly guided his sleigh so as not to jar any of his passengers. The laughter of the boys warmed Donner in a way only a child's laughter could. After several slow turns past ornately decorated trees, the path broadened from a trail into a full-blown lane that had been laid down with cobblestones. On either side of the lane were two tall lampposts with flickering lights in them. A wreath hung from each post. The lane was brushed clear of snow. All ice had been melted away. Past the lamppost was a quaint village. Each stone building had a red bow tied at its peak and a wreath on the door. Icicles hung from the roofs. There was a lit lamppost at the end of the front lane to each house. Some yards had snowmen and others forts. A couple of the yards even had ice sculptures. In the center of the main street was the tallest Christmas tree that any of them had ever seen. One or two of the bigger buildings had storefront windows containing toys. Another had baked goods on display. Yet another building was full of people drinking from steaming mugs. There were vendors of all sorts, flowers, wreaths, candles, and more. Laughter could be heard on the wind. Beyond all of this, though, was a castle. Its peaks were green and red with gold stars on top. The windows all had shutters. Nicholas and Jack couldn't help but gasp at the wonders before them. Grandpa Frank had a wistful look in his eyes at the sight of all this merriment. When Donner pulled the sleigh next to the giant Christmas tree, he pulled the team to a stop. Next, he put his stool against the sleigh and urged everyone to watch the step as they got out. Feel free to look around and talk to the people here. I'll meet you all back here just before dark for the journey back, Donner sternly informed his party. Thank you, Donner, the boys chorused in unison as he walked away. All right, boys. You can explore the buildings in town. Don't go into the houses unless you're invited. Remember to have fun, Grandpa Frank kindly insisted as he handed each of them white envelopes. On the outside of the envelopes were the words, for food, money. Where are you going to be, Grandpa Frank? Jack asked worriedly. Oh, in this sleigh, under the warm quilts, Grandpa Frank jovially stated. Thanks for letting me join you guys today, Grandpa Frank, Nicholas sincerely thanked. No problem. Now you two go have fun. Both boys happily nodded before rushing down the street. The first building they stopped at had baked goods in the window. They walked in, and the smell of fresh cookies in the air had their mouths watering. There was a portly woman behind the counter wearing a dark green apron covered in flour and gold sprinkles. She had full, rosy cheeks and a ready smile. Hello, boys. My name is Clara. What brings you to the village today? Donner and Grandpa Frank brought us here today. What kind of village is this? Jack asked. It's a Christmas village, of course. In fact, at the base of the hill is a train station that will take you up to Santa's castle, Clara knowledgeably stated. What kind of cookies do you have here? Nicholas politely asked. Any type of cookie you can imagine is what we have. Thumbprints, sugar, chocolate chip, and more. Fresh batches are made every day, sometimes on the hour. The children here in the village love cookies, Clara enthused. Really? My friend Sarah would love this place. She wants to be a baker when she grows up, Nicholas enthused. Who's Sarah? Jack asked with darkened eyes. She lives next door to me. You'd like her, Jack. Her cookies would go great with your cocoa, Nicholas assured. Can I meet her? Sure, we'll go over to her house soon, Nicholas confirmed. Jack nodded as the boys explored the bake shop. There were tables full of cookies in all shapes and sizes. Stars, trees, and Santa Claus faces. They were all present. Some had frosting and others had sprinkles. A few were even topped with nuts. Jack and Nicholas each grabbed a pile of cookies, taking them to the counter. Clara rang them up and sent them off with a friendly, if you need to warm up, stop at the cocoa and cider shop down the street. They have the tastiest drinks. We will, thank you, Miss Clara, Nicholas said as they left the shop. When the boys left the shop, there was light snow falling. Nicholas made sure the buttons on his coat were tight while Jack loosened his. Are you really that comfortable in the cold? Nicholas asked. Sure am. For as long as I can remember, the colder it is outside, the warmer I am, Jack informed. Nicholas shook his head as the boys walked down the street. On their way to the next shop, the boys saw children building snowmen and making forts. A few were making snow angels. They oohed and ahed over the lights that adorned the houses and the candy canes that lined the sidewalks. Overhead, they saw a sleigh riding through the sky. Lights outlined the sleigh and reindeer. Finally, they reached a trinket shop. The window display had silver holly crowns and gold icicle staves. There were wooden soldiers and toy drums. When they walked into the shop, teddy bears were on a table in the corner. Dolls with frilly dresses sat on another table. The counter was lit up with green and blue lights. Hello, young gentlemen. My name is Dasher. What can I do for you this fine day? We're looking for presents for our friends, Nicholas explained. Aren't you going to let Santa bring the gifts? Sometimes he needs a little help, Jack neutrally explained. In that case, why don't the two of you look around? Dasher finished hurriedly. Thank you, the boys replied in unison. Jack and Nicholas saw toy trains and stuffed animals, 100 types of nail polish and toy tools, toy shoes and trombones. All types of toys were here. This one shop had just about everything a kid could want. Nicholas picked up a few toys and trinkets while Jack went up to the counter. Excuse me, Mr. Dasher, could I see that small crown? Jack asked, indicating the delicate silver tiara in the shape of holly berries and leaves. Sure, son, give me a moment and I'll get it out for you. Dasher reached into his case and pulled out the tiny tiara. It was a row of silver holly leaves highlighted with red berries. Dasher put the tiara in Jack's small hands. Jack carefully examined the tiara before finally nodding. Handing the tiara back to Dasher, Jack said, I'd like to buy it for my sister. Of course, sir, Dasher acknowledged as he rang Jack up. As Dasher finished tallying up the total, Nicholas came to stand next to Jack with a few toys of his own. What did you get, Jack? Nicholas asked. A really tiny crown for my sister. Cool. My mom has one of those. She calls it a tiara. Thanks. I wasn't sure what to call it. Just looked like a tiny crown to me. Did you find anything? Jack asked Nicholas. Yep. I found things for my parents and a few small toys to send with Sarah. She's got siblings, Nicholas informed Jack. Dasher handed Jack his purchase and rang up Nicholas. As Dasher was ringing up Nicholas, he said, You two go and get something to warm up. The snow's really going to start falling soon. Thank you, Dasher, we will, the boys chorused as they left the shop. True to Dasher's word, when the boys left the toy shop, the snow began to fall harder. It took only a few minutes for the boys to reach the cocoa insider shop that Clara had told them about. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of a Christmas village, known only to elves, Santa Claus, and other legendary figures. So I hope you have enjoyed this reading, and as always, I encourage you to head on over to Amazon to check the book out for yourself. As always, happy reading and happy holidays.